Community Spotlight, powered by ATB Wealth Kelowna. Ready to take a powerful step towards the future you want today? Connect with local advisors at ATB Wealth Kelowna to get started.
Hello, Alexa here with KelownaNow. I'm sitting down for our weekly community spotlight. Thank you, ATB, for sponsoring this community spotlight. We get to feature businesses, entrepreneurs, non-for-profits, all because of ATB. We really couldn't do stuff like this without their support. So I'm excited. I get to sit down with the podcast host. Usually she's interviewing people.
Yes, I have this tendency of taking over even when I'm being interviewed. So, just give me a little,
stop talking. No, it's my turn. I'm asking the questions. No, that's awesome. You know what? I'll just step out. You got this.
I'll take over. Give me 15 minutes, come back. No, just kidding.
So there's, a lot, you're out in community a lot. Lots of people know you, but maybe people that haven't listened to an episode, let's not sugarcoat it. So you used to have a co-host, Bella, who we are in
Alex, I am Bella.
Or sorry, I keep doing that on you. And we are shifting, though. We are going from two females being very raw and real and talking about, kids, unfiltered stuff, being moms. And now you're going into a new chapter. Yeah. So let's kind of look back, though, first. So what are some of the biggest lessons you think you've learned when you were building this with Alex?
Yes. So actually the podcast started with three of us. There was three of us. We were sitting around my patio campfire, well, not campfire, I don't camp, but fire table and having a glass of wine. And we started talking about the stuff that we're dealing with in our motherhood journey. And then I was like, oh my gosh, we need to have a podcast, because if you're feeling this way, then there are others that are feeling that way as well. So really the real, raw and unfiltered side of motherhood, then it transitioned into real, raw and unfiltered conversations, because we tend to hide and put our first best foot forward in society, on social media, and then we're suffering alone. So now we're shifting to, again, real, raw, unfiltered side of communication and relationships. So my husband is joining me. I was going to say us. I'm so used to saying us. My husband joining us. No, he's actually going to be the other part of us. Yeah. And we're going to be exploring, communication and relationships, whether it's in business or at home, partners, with your children, with friends and family, because it's such an important skill that we're not really taught. So we're really excited to take that next step and show everyone how marriage really works for those who are not married yet, okay? Because we do go in with this, love and expectation, just like in motherhood. When my biggest lessons, going full circle back to motherhood is, when I didn't have children, I was like, oh my goodness, I would never do this with my kids, as you judging the moms that are struggling or doing something. We have these things that we would never do, never co-sleep. I wouldn't give them the iPad. I wouldn't, buy sugary things. And then we have our kids and you're like, okay, I get it now, right? It's the life lesson was really try to put yourself in someone else's shoe and listen to their story, listen to what they need and ask for what they need, not what you think they need, not what you think you should do or they should do. It's actually just sit down and say, hey, what is it that you need, without that judgment, because we don't know what we don't know, right? So, yeah.
Amazing. So, I love the name of the podcast, and I'm a big fan of being authentic and real and showing. I think that's so important. I'm not a mom, but you being a mom of, I want to say twin girls going in teenager years.
Yeah, they're 12 going on 17.
Yeah, so as women, we have seen, especially with filters, and I think we, in Hallmark movies, we always see everything working out, happy endings, and I think we all have suffered at some point when you're
Yeah.
looking at social media, because most people only post the really good,
Mhm.
happy moments, but they never see the behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Like wedding days, they don't always run smoothly. Like
Mhm.
having kids, and I love for like you saying that. Like I think we all have that expectation,
Mhm.
and then reality hits, and
Yeah.
it's not perfect.
No.
It's messy.
Oh my gosh. And my pregnancy journey wasn't the best. You know, like that movie, What to Expect When You're
Yeah.
Expecting. Well, I was the girl, not with the beauty with the twins that
Yeah.
she was having, but the one that everything was going wrong. And before that, I was actually having trouble getting pregnant. So we ended up doing in vitro.
Mhm.
And you know what life lesson for me there was, and why we're taking this next season 3 into communication, is because my girlfriends didn't know how to talk to me when I was struggling. They would either try to give me advice that it's like, if I hear one more time that after, can I say the word sex on here?
Yeah.
I should lay with my feet up.
Yeah.
One more time. It's like, do you not think I've already done all these things? My
Yeah.
journey was 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Instead of, doing that, it's like, okay, how can I support you? What do you
Mhm.
need? Not just, advice how to get pregnant, but emotionally, because I felt inadequate as a woman.
Yeah.
I was struggling, and I was looking at women my friends getting pregnant.
So easy.
And then they were having babies, and then suddenly they started excluding me from their social gatherings because I didn't have a baby, but not because I didn't have a baby, because I was having trouble conceiving.
Mhm.
So now they thought it would be better or harder on me if I wasn't around it, which then isolated me even more. So that's why communication, if they asked me, hey, or gave me that opportunity to say yes or no, it would have gone a lot smoother for me. And instead of adding to that feeling of inadequacy, why can't I do this? Now I'm lonely. I'm not understood.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, you need your girlfriends. And
I needed my girlfriends.
But you were being isolated.
Yeah.
But they thought they were doing what was helpful for you.
Yeah.
Well, I think lots of women out there, I mean, I could get stuck on that topic just right there.
I know, right?
Because I think there's lots of women that are struggling with fertility, and it is weird how jealous. It's like a weird, ugly thing. Like, you're obviously happy your friends were having babies, but you also caught yourself being super jealous. Like, why isn't it my time? Like, why can't I get there?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a jealousy. It was more like, why can't my body do the thing that it was meant to do?
Yeah.
Right? And I loved supporting my girlfriends, and I loved, because we were all, trying, but it was more on my end. And then, as my husband went through a journey as well. And I was lucky that he was a man that was very cool, calm, and collective, and was very supportive, and went through, all my ups and downs, because you inject yourself with things, you take pills, your hormones are out of whack. So he was my rock. He was the one that was sitting there and taking it all. There was one moment he said to me, I went to visit him. He was working out of town, because, ovulation, you gotta go do your thing.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Right? So I went to visit him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because of all the hormones, I went through all the emotions within half an hour. So I went from being super happy to super mad to super emotional. Then he's like, okay, I need to step away. I'm going to go to sleep. Whenever you're ready, come join me. So then I came in, I was still emotional. And then I started laughing. And he sat up, he's like, okay, please don't kill me, because you're kind of psycho right now, because you went through all of the emotions.
He's probably nervous to say that word, psycho.
It is, right? Because he's like, you just went through all the emotions in one, in half an hour.
Yeah.
And I started laughing because I realized that myself. I was like, oh my gosh, I am going crazy.
Yeah.
But if he was, somebody who wasn't, emotionally sound, mature, it could have turned into a fight or making me feel even more wrong, and so on and so forth. But we learn how to communicate with each other with the help of our, doctors. The warnings. Read the warning on the label.
Yeah.
Right? She's crazy.
Yeah, when does anyone read anything?
Right. So yeah, it was a huge transition for us as a couple as well, because it does put strain on, we get married, there's strain on that when we're, planning the weddings. Then there's strain to get pregnant. There's pressures.
So much pressure.
As soon as you get married, first it's like, when are you getting married, right? Then it's like, when are the babies coming? Oh, why aren't they here yet? Are you trying this? And then they come, and they're like, when is the next one? When is the next babies? It's like, holy man, there's so much pressure on women.
Yeah.
But there's also pressures on men because they are also involved in that. So shining the light on that piece, that there's actually two human beings and they're experiencing the same space differently.
Yeah.
That time in our lives.
Yeah.
The way I experienced my pregnancy is different than the way he experienced my pregnancy. Right? So that's why season 3 is, on communication and relationships.
Yeah.
Because again, it's full circle. You talk to your parents, you talk to your friends, you have your husband, and how you show up at work with your coworkers is so important.
Yeah.
But we're not taught to actually ask the questions that are needed to be asked. We assume a lot of things.
Yeah.
We think we're doing something right instead of actually sitting down with the person. It's like, hey, how can I support you at this moment? And sometimes they'll say, like, bugger off, don't call me for a couple of weeks because I'm not okay. Yeah. And that's okay. Give them that grace and that space. So, yeah.
Okay, so season 3 is, like you said, is all about relationships, communication. When is the first episode going out?
So we're taking 1 week off because we just aired our last episode with Alex, and we do wish her, I always say I wish her all the best in her new endeavors. We're taking a week off, me and my husband now, and then the following week we're going to air our first episode, and it's just going to be him and I talking about, our communication challenges, our growth and development, and our relationship, how we're going to be together 20 years this August, married for 17. And let me tell you, there was lots of ups and downs. We almost didn't make it a year and a half ago, so major relationship breakdown, but we also had major breakthroughs. So, and if it wasn't for us looking in the mirror and going, okay, how am I showing up? What is it that I want? And actually speak that out loud, we would never have been together.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like when women turn 40, it's like this magic number. I read a quote or something the other day. It's like, life doesn't start until 40. Until then, it's just research.
Oh.
Which I was like, you know what? That's how it felt, because before 40, there's so many life changes. In your 20s, you're, school, career. Then you have your end of 20s, 30s marriage. Then you have children. And then you wake up. As women and men, mostly women, because we're such human doers, not human beings. Yeah. Right? So we're constantly in this phase of hustle and giving ourselves to others. Yeah. And then when you're 40, things kind of settle down, and it's like, you take this blue pill, red pill on the Matrix. Yeah. And then and you're like, wow, I see what I've already done, but it's not where I want to. It's not the reality. You create this bubble. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I have this perfect life. And then boom, something happens. And you're like, wait a minute, I just shattered this whole reality.
This whole thing we just tried so hard to have.
Right? And we try to hold on to that for so long. And that's why things don't work at the end, because we're not open, we're not expanding, we're shrinking, we're holding on to the things that were working before, but no longer.
Well, because you guys have both grown also.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to have that moment in my 50s because I haven't had kids yet. I feel like it's like now that your kids are getting older, also more independent, probably less, they probably rely on you still a lot, but it's different than having toddlers, I would assume. Do you think you're going to find out more about your husband through this journey? Like, do you think there are going to be moments in these podcasts that you're like, what the heck? Why haven't you told me this before? And we're doing this
100%. Because I think most men, I'm going to get flagged, have this selective, either hearing or selective need
selective.
to know basis. You don't need to know this because I don't want to,
disrupt you
or
make you go psycho again.
Right? So I'm just going to keep this information to when I think you're ready to hear it. And then, 100%. And we're always learning and we're always growing, and things are changing around us all the time, like health issues. My mom lives with us, so that adds
a
layer of complexity. So this house is full of women, right? And I had 2 international students. So
good.
There was 6 women and 1 man. So I'm sure you will find out a lot of things.
What's it like?
What it's like to live with the Brady Bunch minus the men. And we're all in different stages, right? So I had the students that were 14 to 17. My kids are 12. I'm 45. My mom's 69. And then there's Lee.
All different things.
And we're going through perimenopause, is a thing. So not only do we have hormonal girls, I'm also hormonal. They're gaining their hormones. I'm losing my hormones. Right? So stay away. I told my husband we need to trade in our boat for a cruiser. So I have a cabin so that I can tell the family, Mommy needs a minute, so I'm gonna go sleep on the boat.
No kidding. So has your husband always been very open? Does he know what he's signing up for? Is he nervous?
Yes. He knows what he's signing up for, and he's always been great at just stepping into my crazy ideas. Always throughout. Even when I was, I was a photographer for 17 years prior to this life. And I trained him to be my second shooter. We traveled the world, but he was up for it. Not a lot of men would be like, I'm just going to come on the weekend and we're going to be somewhere. Although, the travel did help. I think he just wanted to come to Mexico with me a few times.
Bella, he just wanted to go on the trip.
But he was always good. I think also because he's younger, he's still younger than me by 4 years.
Okay.
So when we started dating, he was 21 and I was 25.
Okay.
So that was a huge age difference at that time. I was called the crater robber, cougar, all the things.
25, right? You're a
25,
cougar.
I was a cougar, but with a 21-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is, and it shapes us, right? Because we were young when we got together. He was way more younger than
it's
I.
A baby.
He was a baby. Think about it. See, now you're gonna say you cougar, you cradle robber.
You both were babies. That is young. You change. I think I'm in my 30s. You change so much from 20 to 30. And I'm sure you changed, like you've been saying, 30 to 40. So. You're constantly. You've had a few decades of change. So. Through your journey, though, with let's not sugarcoat it, with Alex, what would you say? Is there an episode that stands out to you that you love? Do you go back and ever listen to certain guests because you're like, wow, they were so inspiring, or I love that.
So we actually just did that last episode on all the 125 episodes that we've done, and we couldn't really pick one. I couldn't pick one because there's such a range of guests. We had guests who, came and talked about their businesses and all the woo. I always say the woo guests, right? Yeah. So we had psychics, we had card readers, we had astrology. They came at a specific time that we actually needed. So we learned a lot in that realm. And I'm a bit of a witchy witch.
So I'm a hippie witchy.
Yeah, right? So a hippie witchy. And through actually the podcast, I realized I was having trouble becoming, merging the parts of myself that I was hiding. I thought I had to be this or that. I had to be a businesswoman and have my thing together. Yeah. But I couldn't be a witch because the two didn't marry, right? Where it's my spiritual side, where I do vibrational sound healing and energy movement and. So I switched and I started doing that when I moved to Kelowna. But that didn't feel aligned either. So I was constantly back and forth.
You weren't in alignment.
I wasn't in alignment. And the more I gave up this side, it started screaming. And the more I started giving up this side, it started screaming. So then finally, through the people that we had in studio, one of the ladies, Bonita, who's also my psychic business coach, because I need, a bit of the card reading. She's like, Bella, you can be this and that, the power of and. You do not have to choose between the parts that you make you, right?
Yeah.
So once I learned the power of and, I'm able to move through business and through life much more freely.
Yeah.
The energy is flowing where it needs to flow, where it's aligned. But when you're suppressing, when you're pushing things down, that energy starts growing and growing. We can only tell ourselves for so long that we're not this part of us.
Yeah.
But it starts screaming. It's like, holding that balloon or whatever underwater.
Yeah.
At some point, it's just going to pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't wait for the pop.
No.
Don't wait for the pop, because it'll be a rude awakening, because you feel like you lost yourself. Yeah. And a lot of women feel like they've lost themselves after marriage and after having kids, because we do. We suppress our needs and the things that we want. Yeah. But it can be this and it can be that.
But how cool is it to empower women now? And you're starting to see a bit of that shift that you need to take care of yourself so you can be the best version. Yeah. And that's so important. Yeah. When you look back where you started, is there anything you would have changed, or are you pretty happy with it just being perfectly raw? And
I think it just needed to be what it was, because we tried to script, we tried, it's trial and error. I think if we started one way and we didn't know how to pivot and maneuver, then we wouldn't be where we are today. Yeah. But no, I don't think I would have changed anything, because everything that led us to, be here and win Kelowna's, gold for podcast. Congrats. Thank you. The journey is the journey, and that's why, we're here right now, is because of the journey.
So are you guys going to be bringing in guests for season 3, or is it mostly going to be you and your husband speaking, or do you want people to feed in things that are like questions?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're always open to topics and guests, and we already have, I think, 4 or 5 guests that applied. As soon as we said that we're going to do the couples and relationships, they reached out and they're like, "Oh, let me tell you, I can give you some advice, good juicy stuff." So yeah, so it is going to be similar format. We're going to do more lives. We are working with local, charities and Kelowna Women in Business to highlight some of their people. So we're going to do a little bit more to highlight our community, but also bring in guest experts from across the world. So
well, I'll have to think of anyone that would be helpful. But well, I'm interested, because I've always loved the idea behind your guys' show. I think the authenticness, we need more of that. And I think we're starting to see a bit of a shift in society and social media, and hopefully people can be and become aligned, like you said. Like you're doing a podcast on Don't Sugarcoat It, but here you are trying to be this like perfect professional that you weren't even listening to this Bella, show your real colors side. So okay, well, awesome. Thank you for coming in, and excited to see and listen to the next episode. So we'll put a links into the article so we make sure that people know where to go to listen. Are you also on Spotify and
all of the apps?
Okay, awesome. So if people were like, how do I find you?
All the podcast apps, and then link. I'm on LinkedIn as well, but
you're very active on social media. If you want to connect with Bella, she's always on Instagram. I also it's worth a follow, because we were just talking about, she's had a few accidents, or like she's always up to something, and something's going on.
Something is always, and I always call it an adventure.
Okay, good.
This year the adventures are on the water, so you may or may not want to come out with me, because there's always something that happens where we're on there.
I mean, you gotta have some fun with it, or like you're just gonna cry.
Yeah, right. It's all in your attitude and how you see the world. If you come in with a negative attitude, everything's gonna feel negative.
Yeah.
But I mean, get caught in a storm. Oh well, like you're wet anyways.
Yeah.
You're in the water, so enjoy the rain.
Yeah, and later on you have a good laugh about it.
That's right. No rain, no flowers.
Yes.
So no rain, no flowers.
I like that. Okay, well, and
Okay.
everyone else, we hope you have a great afternoon.
Community Spotlight, powered by ATB Wealth Kelowna. Ready to take a powerful step towards the future you want today? Connect with local advisors at ATB Wealth Kelowna to get started.